What if I told you there's one single thing, one tiny shift you can make tomorrow morning that will completely rewrite how the rest of your day unfolds? No, this isn't clickbait. It's not some productivity hack from a best-selling book. This is older than all of that. Simpler, more powerful, and almost no one is doing it. Because most people, they reach for their phone, check emails, scroll social media, snooze the alarm. They're not starting the day, they're surrendering to it. But you're about to do something different. And if you do it tomorrow, just once, you'll feel the shift. And if you do it every day, you'll never be the same again. Before I reveal what it is, let me ask you a question. Do you actually control your life, or are you just reacting to it? Because if you react to the world the moment you open your eyes, you're starting from behind. But if you take just 10 minutes each morning to do what I'm about to share, you'll no longer chase the day. You'll command it. And if you're ready to be the kind of person who leads, not follows, then stick with me. This might be the most important 7 minutes of your day. By the way, if you're the kind of person who's serious about growth, purpose, and owning your time, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button because this channel is built for you. Now, let's get into it. Part 1. The war begins in the morning. Every single morning, you're entering a battlefield. You just don't realize it. The enemy? It's not outside. It's not the emails. It's not your job. It's not even the people asking for your time. It's you. It's that voice in your head that says, "Not today." It's that dopamine craving that reaches for the phone. It's the autopilot that kicks in before your eyes even open. You lose this battle, the rest of your day follows. You rush, you're reactive, you're chasing, you're surviving. You're not creating. But here's the thing no one ever told you. You have more power in the first 15 minutes after waking than you will at any other point in the day. Why? Because your brain is still in a theta and alpha state. This is the golden window, where your subconscious is open, where beliefs are molded, where intentions can be planted like seeds, where your reality begins to take form. But most people, they waste it. They fill that sacred window with junk. They download the world's noise before they even download their own thoughts. But you're going to do something radically different. You're going to choose your state before the world chooses it for you. You're going to reclaim the most powerful moment of your day. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who built a business empire worth over $300 million. He wasn't born rich. He wasn't exceptionally talented. But he had one rule. I win the first 10 minutes every day. No excuses. And what did he do in those 10 minutes? Not email, not journaling, not even meditation. He asked himself one question every single morning, before anything else. What kind of man do I need to be today? Not what should I do? Not what's on my to-do list? Not what's trending? Who do I need to be? And he would sit in silence, and he would answer that question. And then, with full clarity, he would become that man. That's the secret. You don't need more goals. You need alignment. And alignment starts with intention. So I'm going to challenge you. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you do anything, sit up in your bed, feet on the ground, eyes open, and ask yourself, who do I need to be today? That's it. Then close your eyes, breathe in, and see that version of yourself. Do it for 3 minutes, not 30, just 3. It will feel small, but that tiny ritual will begin to rewrite your identity. Because the moment you define yourself intentionally, you begin to act in line with it. You stop drifting. You start creating. You'll notice it later that day. You'll pause before reacting. You'll speak with more purpose. You'll walk into that meeting more grounded. You'll stop apologizing for taking up space. And that's just day 1.
Now here's the twist. This isn't some motivational gimmick. This is neurobiology. Your brain is most plastic, most programmable right when you wake up. What you think in those moments wires your mind. Repeated daily, it becomes identity. And identity, that becomes destiny. But most people let Instagram write their identity. They let the news define their emotional state. They let notifications choose their urgency. You're going to choose yourself. Now, I know this sounds nice, but does it actually work? Let me give you a personal example. A year ago, I was stuck, burned out. I'd wake up with this heavy feeling in my chest, like I was already late, already behind. And I kept thinking I needed more discipline, more willpower, more time. But what I really needed was to stop giving away the beginning of my day. So I made a rule: no phone for the first 15 minutes. Just one question. Who do I choose to be today? Some days the answer was focused. Other days it was kind. Sometimes it was just present. But every day it was a choice. And slowly things shifted. Not just my mindset, my results. I started making better decisions. I stopped saying yes to things I didn't believe in. I created more, consumed less. And that heavy feeling, it lifted. Because I wasn't living someone else's life anymore. I was living mine. And I want that for you. Now, I know this sounds simple, but don't mistake simple for easy. Because this takes consistency. And most people, they give up after day 3. That's why I'm challenging you. Try it for 7 days. Just 7. No phone, no noise, just intention. 3 minutes a morning. And if you're ready to do that, leave a comment below that says, "I choose me." Let me know you're in. Let's hold each other accountable. And if you're still here, you're not like most people. You're the kind of person who finishes things, who's ready for more. And in part 2, I'm going to show you how to supercharge this ritual, how to take that morning question and turn it into a full system that rewires your identity, your habits, and your results. So don't miss it. Make sure you've subscribed. Turn on notifications, because what's coming next will shift your entire momentum.
So you've committed to the first step. You've decided to reclaim your morning. You're not waking up into chaos anymore. You're waking up with clarity. But now comes the real power shift. Because intention is just the ignition. What we're about to do is build the engine. This is where most people get stuck. They say, okay, I asked myself the question, now what? They get a little clarity, maybe feel inspired for a few hours, but by lunch, they're back in the same patterns. Why? Because intention without integration is just a moment. But when you connect that morning intention to action, emotion, and repetition, that's when your entire identity begins to shift. So today, we build the morning system. And to be clear, this isn't about morning routines. This is deeper. This is about a morning ritual that rebuilds you. And it starts with this principle. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. So let's elevate that identity. Let's make it impossible to fall back into the old version of you. But before we get tactical, I need you to do one thing. If you haven't already, drop a comment below that says, "I'm building my new identity." That's not for me, it's for you. Lock it in. Make it real. Let's go. The 3-phase morning identity system. We're going to use 3 simple phases each morning. They only take 10 to 15 minutes combined, but done right, they'll alter how you show up in the world. This is what high performers, elite athletes, and leaders do, whether they know it or not. Phase 1, define the identity. We already started this in part 1. You sit up, you breathe, and you ask yourself, who do I choose to be today? But now we're going to refine it,
Make it sharper, stronger. Instead of picking a vague trait like focused or calm, you're going to create what I call your identity tagline. This is a one-sentence power statement, like, I am the kind of man who brings fire and clarity into every room I enter. I am a woman of precision, presence, and unstoppable momentum. I am a creative force, disciplined, grounded, and fearless. You say this out loud every morning, not in your head, out loud. Why? Because when your brain hears your own voice declare something, it takes it as a command. You're not just thinking it, you're installing it. Try it now. Say it with me. I am the kind of person who finishes what they start. Say it again. You feel that? That's not just words. That's alignment taking shape. Now, phase 2. Embody the energy. This is the part everyone skips, and that's why their affirmations feel fake, because you can't think your way into a new identity. You have to feel it. So right after you say your identity tagline, you're going to do something simple but powerful. You stand up, feet planted, close your eyes, and you breathe like that person. You move like that person for 2 minutes. If your identity is focused and strong, how does that person stand? How do they breathe? How would they walk across the room? You act it out. This might feel strange at first, but this is how athletes prime their nervous system. This is how performers get into state. And if you want to rewire your default programming, you need to give your body the experience of that identity. Because your nervous system learns through emotion, not logic. The goal? Train your body to believe before the results arrive. Now, let's take this further. Phase 3. Anchor with action. This is where the identity becomes real. Every morning, after defining and embodying your identity tagline, you pick one small, aligned action that proves it. Not 10, not a to-do list, just one. If your identity is disciplined, maybe that action is, I finish my hardest task before 10 a.m. If your identity is present, maybe it's, I put my phone away for the first hour. If your identity is brave, maybe it's, I send that message I've been avoiding. The point is not the size of the action. It's the alignment. You're proving to your brain, I don't just say who I am, I act like it. And when you do this daily, even for just 10 minutes, your brain starts to trust you. And that trust is the root of self-belief. Now, before we go further, if this resonates with you so far and you want more of this kind of content, tap the like button. Not just to support the video, but because that little signal tells YouTube, show me more of this kind of growth. You're curating your algorithm, just like your identity. Now, let's get real for a second. You're going to have mornings when you forget, when you don't feel like it, when the old self starts whispering, skip it, it's just one day. That's when you need to remember, this is not about perfection. It's about direction. Every day you do this, even imperfectly, you're moving closer to the version of you who doesn't need motivation to be great, because greatness has become normal. Let me tell you about a woman named April. She was one of the first people I taught this system to. Single mom, worked 2 jobs, didn't have time for long meditations or morning routines. But she committed to this system. Every morning, 3 minutes of intention, 2 minutes of embodiment, 1 action. That's it. Within 90 days, she renegotiated her work schedule, started her own side business, and said for the first time in years, I feel like I know who I am again. Not because she changed the world overnight, but because she stopped letting the world change her every morning. And you can do the same. Let me leave you with this. Every morning, you are either rehearsing your limitations or rehearsing your liberation. Choose wisely. In part 3, we're going to go even deeper. I'm going to show you the hidden trap that keeps most people stuck in their old identity, even when they do the work. You'll learn how to break that loop once and for all, but only if you're ready to leave behind the version of you who keeps playing small. If you are, comment, "I'm ready to break the loop" below.
You've started to shift. You've planted the seed. You've begun each day not with chaos, but with clarity. You've spoken your identity. You've embodied it. You've taken aligned action. But let me warn you, there's a trap up ahead, a silent one. And if you don't see it coming, you'll get pulled back into the old you faster than you can blink. It's the trap of the loop. See, most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're stuck in a psychological loop, a feedback cycle of belief, behavior, results, belief. And the loop sounds like this. I've never followed through before. I'm not that kind of person. I always start strong and then fade. This always happens to me. Sound familiar? That voice, it's not harmless. It's not just doubt. It's a loop. And every time you listen to it, every time you believe it, you reinforce it. But what most people don't realize is that loop didn't start with failure. It started with a story. And until you break the story, you'll stay trapped in the loop. So in part 3, we're going to burn the story down. You're going to learn how to confront and rewire the unconscious narrative that's been running your mornings and your life. And once you break that, you'll be free. If you've been finding clarity in these first 2 parts, now is the time to make it stick. Subscribe and turn on notifications. This is not just a video series. This is your transformation. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Let's go deeper. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. When you fail at something, when you miss a day, skip the ritual, lose control, what's the first thing you tell yourself? Think about it. Be honest. It's almost never, "Oh well, I'll try again." It's usually, "See, this is who I really am. I knew I'd mess this up. This is just like last time." That reaction? That's not random. That's the story you've been telling yourself for years. And your subconscious holds on to it like a religion. So here's the harsh truth. Every time you try to grow, you are not just battling your old habits. You're battling your narrative. Let me say that again. Your biggest enemy is not procrastination. It's not lack of motivation. It's the belief you hold about yourself that makes procrastination feel normal. So now, we change the belief. Grab a piece of paper right now. I'm serious. If you're just watching this passively, it won't work. This is about rewiring, and rewiring requires engagement. Draw 2 vertical lines, 3 columns. Label the first column Old Story. Label the second The Trigger. Label the third New Command. Here's what it looks like. Old Story. I always give up after the first week. Trigger. When I wake up late and feel behind. New Command. Even if I'm behind, I choose to begin again. I don't abandon myself. Another example. Old Story. I'm not a morning person. Trigger. Alarm goes off and I hit snooze. New Command. Mornings are my power zone. I rise for who I'm becoming. Now this might feel cheesy at first, but remember what we said in part 2. Emotion and repetition wire the brain. If you say this daily, especially in the morning when your brain is most programmable, you begin to override the old loop. You stop defaulting to the past. You start designing the future. This is what I call loop hacking, and it's used by elite performers all over the world. You think world-class athletes don't have old stories? Of course they do. But the difference is they interrupt the loop. They command a new one.
So from now on, every morning, after you state your identity tagline, after you embody the energy, you look at your story chart. You read your new command out loud. And if you do this with focus and consistency, within 21 days, your old narrative will start to feel foreign, like a script you no longer resonate with. And that right there is freedom. Now let's go one level deeper. Because as you rise, another force will try to pull you back. It's not your story this time. It's your ego. The ego doesn't want you to change because the ego's job is survival, not expansion. It clings to the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. So when you start to act like the new you, your ego will whisper, "This isn't you. You're faking it. You're trying too hard." Ever heard that voice? That's not truth. That's resistance disguised as logic. And if you want to grow, you have to be willing to feel fake for a while. Let me say that again. If you're waiting until it feels natural, you'll be waiting forever. Because transformation always feels unnatural at first. It's supposed to. You're stepping into a version of yourself you haven't fully lived yet. You're not pretending. You're practicing. And every day you practice, you reinforce a new truth. Now look, this takes courage. This isn't easy. There will be mornings when the loop screams louder than your vision, when your ego throws every excuse at you, when you'll feel like giving in. And that's when I want you to remember this. You're not doing this to prove anything. You're doing this to remember who you were before the world made you forget. You're doing this because somewhere inside you, there's a knowing, a fire, a voice that's whispering, "I was made for more." And that voice, it's not just a feeling. It's your future self calling you home. Now, in part 4, we go beyond the morning, because it's not enough to start strong. We're going to master how to hold this energy throughout the day, even when things go wrong, even when life throws chaos at you. We're going to build the emotional armor and inner compass that makes you unshakable. But first, comment, "I'm breaking the loop," below if this part hits something deep inside you. Let me know if you're really doing the work, because I see you, and I'm walking this with you.
You've reclaimed your morning. You've declared your identity. You've started interrupting the loop. And if you're still here, it means something clicked. You're not just watching this. You're doing this. But now comes the test most people fail. Because starting strong is one thing, but staying strong, that's where the real battle is won. You can wake up inspired. You can say all the right affirmations. You can breathe like a lion. But then life shows up. You get a text that throws you off. You get bad news. The meeting runs late. The client flakes. Your plan shatters. And in a split second, your identity gets hijacked. The day controls you again. So now we enter part 4, how to stay in power no matter what hits you. Because power is not in how loud you roar in the morning. Power isn't how calm you remain when the storm arrives at noon. This is the difference between motivation and mastery. But first, if you're feeling this series so far, pause for 1 second. Click like, share it with a friend, because growth like this is rare, and we rise faster together. Now, let's dig in. Here's something no one tells you in the personal growth world. Your emotions are not a problem. Feeling angry, stressed, insecure, or anxious, that doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. What matters is what you do in those moments. See, most people think strength is never breaking, but real strength is this. Even when I break, I still remember who I am. That's called emotional durability. And if you want to hold your identity in the face of pressure, you need to train for it like a muscle. So here's how you build it. 1. Install an emotional trigger plan. Just like you plan your workouts, meals, or goals, you need a plan for your triggers. Because let's be honest, you already know what's going to throw you off today.
That one coworker, that social media scroll spiral, that bank notification, that awkward silence in the group chat. So you make a list. What are the top 3 things that usually hijack your energy? Write them down. Then next to each one, write your power move. Example. Trigger. I get an unexpected email that causes stress. Default reaction, panic, overthink, spiral. New power move, pause, breathe. Say out loud, nothing controls my breath. I choose my next move. Another. Trigger. I compare myself on social media. Power move, close the app, open my identity script, read it aloud, move my body for 60 seconds. This isn't about perfection. This is about creating a playbook for chaos. So when it shows up, you don't react, you respond. And that one shift puts you back in power. 2. Use the identity anchor method. We've talked about stating your identity in the morning, but here's the thing. You need to carry it with you. Because during the day, your nervous system gets flooded, and when you're flooded, you forget who you are. So you need what I call an anchor. This can be a phrase on your phone's lock screen, a bracelet that reminds you, a note in your wallet, a mantra you whisper to yourself in traffic. My personal anchor is a small metal card in my pocket that says, "Return to who you said you are." Simple, but every time I touch it, feel it, read it, it brings me back. You don't need 100 tools. You just need one anchor that reconnects you to your morning state. Find yours. And before we continue, if you've already picked an anchor or have one in mind, drop it in the comments below. Not just for engagement. Declare it. Own it. Now, this next part is big. 3. Master the reset ritual. Let me tell you a story. One of my clients, a startup founder, told me this. I always start the day in beast mode, but by 2 p.m. something throws me off and I spiral. The rest of the day's a mess. So I asked, what if your identity had a reset button? Here's what we created. Every time something triggered him, he would leave his workspace, step outside, stand still, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, and say one line. The moment I reset, I rise. It sounds simple, but that pattern interrupt rewired his day. Because the longer you stay in a hijacked state, the harder it is to return to yourself. So from now on, when you feel overwhelmed, pause, reset, breathe, speak, reclaim. Not for 10 minutes, not for 10 breaths, just enough to remember who you are. Most people go through the day like this. Build up stress, hold it in. Stack pressure, stack tasks, stack noise, and then crash. This cycle is why people burn out. Not because they're doing too much, but because they're never releasing. So I want you to build tension and release rituals into your day. A 5-minute walk after every deep focus session. Breathing with your eyes closed between meetings. Screaming into a pillow if you have to. Seriously, energy is not just about what you do. It's about how you recover. And if you don't build in recovery, your identity will collapse under the weight of pressure. So be ruthless about protecting your center. Now, here's the emotional climax of this part. There's a version of you that's already powerful, already focused, already unshakable. But that version of you isn't found in books. It's not waiting at the end of a 30-day plan. It's not behind some morning routine checklist. It's right here, in how you respond to this exact moment. Because that's where power lives, in choice. Not in how many things go right, but in how many times you choose your higher self even when everything feels wrong. Let me repeat that. You are powerful, not because your day goes as planned, but because you keep choosing yourself even when it doesn't. And if you do that consistently, that becomes identity. That becomes energy. That becomes you. In part 5, we're going to take everything we've built so far and bring it into alignment with your long-term vision. Because what good is power if you don't aim it at something meaningful?
Next, we'll unlock the three-stage process for turning your daily ritual into momentum and momentum into destiny. If you're ready to take it there, comment, "I hold my power," below.
You've built your base. You've mastered your mornings. You've broken the loop. You've learned to reset, to hold your power through chaos. Now comes the moment where everything clicks, where all the energy, identity, and intention you've been cultivating finally takes aim at something bigger. Because it's not enough to feel good. It's not enough to manage your days. Eventually, you'll ask the question, where is all this going? And the truth is, if you don't have a clear target, your power becomes noise. But if you align that power with a long-term mission, you become inevitable. This is the part where vision meets velocity. But before we open that door, let's lock in your commitment. Comment, "I'm ready to move with purpose," right now. Because what we're about to build will challenge your comfort zone. It's time to stop drifting and start driving. Let's go. Let me share a secret the world won't tell you. Most people don't burn out because they're tired. They burn out because they're disconnected. They wake up, do all the right habits, journal, cold shower, deep work, but something still feels empty. Why? Because they've mastered the vehicle, but never defined the destination. So from here forward, we're going to channel everything you've built into a mission map. A clear, emotional, and energizing vision framework that keeps you moving when life tests you, tempts you, or tries to distract you. Because motivation fades, habits slip, but alignment, that's the engine that never stops. Step 1. Define your "so that" statement. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to be disciplined, focused, powerful. But why? You have to finish the sentence. I want to become identity so that. So that what? So that you can finally leave the job? So that you can be the example no one was for you? So that your kids never have to heal from the same wounds you did? Whatever it is, get raw, get specific, get real. Because reasons create resilience. Say it out loud right now. I choose this path so that. That sentence, that's your internal GPS. It's what keeps you from drifting when your environment wants to settle. Step 2, create the North Star identity. Now we layer on something even more powerful. If your daily identity is about how you show up now, your North Star identity is about who you're becoming long term. Not in 3 days, not in 30. We're talking 3 years from now. Ask yourself, what does the highest version of me look like? How do they move, speak, create, lead? What decisions are they making that I'm afraid to make now? Now give that identity a name. It can be a title, it can be a nickname, it can be something symbolic. Examples: the architect, for someone building generational wealth. The fire starter, for someone sparking change in others. Quiet storm, for someone powerful, calm, and grounded. Why give it a name? Because when things get hard, you need to shift into something bigger than your current emotions. You say, I am stepping into the architect now, the version of me that doesn't flinch, the one who builds when others complain. Your identity becomes your armor. Step 3, reverse engineer your vision. Now that you know who you're becoming and why, we break it down. You don't just wake up one day as the architect. You become that person by reverse engineering their habits. So ask, what are 3 non-negotiable behaviors that version of me lives by daily? What do they say no to that I keep tolerating? What is one bold move they would make this month that scares me right now? Example: North Star, the fire starter. Behaviors: speaks truth daily on video. Mentors one person weekly. Wakes up at 5:30 a.m. no matter what. Say no to overconsumption, waiting for permission, playing small in conversations. Bold move: launch the podcast that's been sitting in drafts for a year. When you make this real, you create pull power. No more forcing yourself to stay disciplined. You feel pulled by who you're becoming. That's not motivation. That's identity-based vision. That's what makes you dangerous. Now I want to speak to your future. If you don't define your direction, you will default to someone else's. Society will hand you a template. Social media will hand you a highlight reel. Your fear will hand you an excuse, and none of them will feel like you. The longer you wait to define your North Star, the more time you spend building a life that's impressive but hollow. Don't let that happen. You've come too far. You felt the spark. You've done the hard rewiring. Now aim it. Point it at something worth becoming. Your life does not change when the world gives you permission. It changes when you declare your direction. So do it now. In the comments, write, "My North Star is your chosen identity." Not for likes, not for clout, for you. To claim it, to print it on your soul. Because when you name the mountain, you start climbing different. And the view from the top, it's not just success, it's self-respect, it's peace, it's power. In part 6, we're going to shift into the final transformation. How to take this personal momentum and turn it into an energy field that transforms your environment, your relationships, your career, and yes, even your income. Because becoming isn't just about you. It's about what you radiate to the world. If you're ready to expand your field, comment, "I move with vision."
You've built the fire inside. You've taken control of your mornings. You've broken the old loop, learned to reset, and set your North Star. Now comes the moment most people never reach. Because personal transformation isn't the final step, it's just the beginning. What you become begins to affect everything you touch. Your relationships, your career, your energy, your environment. And if you're not aware of it, you might sabotage the very things your new identity was meant to elevate. So in part 6, we unlock what I call the radiation principle. When you transform yourself, you change your world. But only if you learn how to expand that energy without losing it. Because transformation is contagious, but so is chaos. So the question becomes, how do you expand your energy without letting your environment shrink it? Let's get into it. If this journey has been leveling you up, don't keep it to yourself. Click share. Send it to the person you know is right on the edge of their own shift. Because the fastest way to deepen your identity is to help someone else activate theirs. Now let's talk about your field. The first thing you need to understand is this. You're not just a person walking through life. You are an energy field that emits a frequency everywhere you go. That's not New Age fluff. That's neuroscience and quantum physics. Your nervous system, your emotional baseline, your beliefs, they all emit subtle cues that others can feel. Ever walked into a room where someone didn't say a word, but you could feel the tension? That's energy. Ever met someone who just felt magnetic before they even spoke? That's energy. And you, right now, are radiating something. The only question is, what? Because once you take control of that field, you no longer just react to the world, you shape it. But it starts with energy protection. You can't upgrade your life without upgrading your boundaries. And I'm not just talking about saying no to people. I'm talking about protecting your energy from invisible leaks. You're doing all this work to rise, but what's pulling you back? Here's a hard question. Who do you shrink around? Make a list. Not to judge, not to cut them off tomorrow, but to become aware. Because your identity, your new self, needs a safe container to stabilize. You can't pour your energy into people who refuse to grow and expect to stay charged. Now, this doesn't mean you ghost everyone, but it does mean you become intentional about where your power goes. Think of it like a phone with 10% battery. Would you stream YouTube videos, blast music, and leave 20 apps open? No. You conserve, you prioritize, you protect your power. Your identity is no different. From now on, ask yourself daily, is this person, place, or thought
charging me, or draining me? And if it's draining you, you don't need to confront. Just redirect your attention inward. Because here's the truth. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. And where your energy flows, your life grows. Step 2. Build the magnetic field. Once you've sealed the leaks, we move into expansion. This is where your identity becomes magnetic. Not by force, not by fake it till you make it, but by being so deeply rooted in who you are that others feel safer, bolder, more alive in your presence. Here's how you build it. 1. Emotional integrity. Don't smile when you're furious. Don't say it's fine when it's not. Don't lie to yourself to keep the peace. Because people can't trust your energy if you keep betraying your own. 2. Energy rehearsal. Before you enter any space, a meeting, a dinner, even the gym, ask, what energy do I want to bring into this room? Visualize it, feel it, walk in with it. That one practice will make you unforgettable. 3. Frequency anchors. Keep your North Star visible everywhere. Phone wallpaper, mirror notes, calendar reminders, desktop backgrounds. Not for aesthetic, for alignment. So when the day tries to pull you out of self, your field pulls you back. Step 3. Influence without preaching. Now that your field is strong, people will start to notice. They'll ask, "You've been different lately. What changed? You seem more calm, more focused. What's your secret?" And your ego might want to teach. Don't. The goal is not to convert others to your new identity. The goal is to become so anchored in your transformation that others feel inspired to rise without you saying a word. Lead by embodiment, not explanation. Because influence doesn't come from what you say, it comes from what people feel in your presence. And when you stop trying to change people, you become the kind of person who changes everything. But let's get real for a second. There will be moments where you feel like you're outgrowing your environment, where you look around and think, nobody gets me anymore. Why am I changing and everyone else stays the same? That's normal. Growth is lonely at first. But that loneliness is not a punishment, it's a clearing, a sacred silence before the right people arrive. The more you radiate your truth, the more your circle will realign. Old ties will fade. New ones will emerge. And when they do, they won't need convincing. They'll recognize you, because they've been walking their own path too. That's how real tribes form. So don't dim your light to fit in. Shine it so your people can find you. You are not here just to wake up early. You are not here just to meditate or visualize or say affirmations. You are here to become a living, breathing vibration of the future. One that shifts energy in every room. One that reminds others what's possible. One that wakes up the slumbering giants in people's hearts. This is what leadership looks like. Not power over others, but presence with them. And your journey? It's just beginning. In part 7, the final part, we bring it all together. Because momentum without mastery fades. So in the last chapter, I'll show you the ultimate system, how to lock this transformation in for life. No more falling off, no more starting over. Just sustainable, grounded, relentless evolution. If you're ready to finish strong, comment, "I'm building my field."
You've come a long way. From reclaiming your mornings to anchoring your identity, breaking the loop, learning to reset, aligning with your North Star, and expanding your field. But now comes the most important part of all. Because transformation without integration is temporary. You don't want hype, you want a system. A way to lock in everything you've built so this doesn't just become another phase, but the foundation of the rest of your life. That's what this final part is about. Sustainable identity, unshakable progress, a future that doesn't fade. So let's close this journey the way we started it,
with complete honesty. If you don't cement this shift, the old you will come back, not because you're weak, but because your environment is stronger than your intention, unless you engineer it properly. Let's build that engine now. And if this entire journey has spoken to you, this is the moment to say thank you to yourself. Not to me, to you. Comment, "I've come home to myself," right now, because that's exactly what you've done. Now let's lock it in forever. The 3-layer system for lifetime identity integration. Think of this as your maintenance protocol. Just like a high-performance vehicle needs regular tune-ups, so does your identity. We're going to seal this with 3 powerful, sustainable systems. The weekly calibration ritual, the power circle principle, and the identity trigger loop. If you do these consistently, you don't just stay in alignment, you compound. Most people only reflect when things go wrong, but high performers, they calibrate weekly. Here's how. Every Sunday, or whatever day feels natural, set aside 30 minutes. 0 distractions, just you and your truth. Ask yourself, where was I most aligned with my North Star this week? Where did I shrink, stall, or self-sabotage? What patterns do I want to repeat? What must I release? What's one promise I'm keeping to myself next week? You can journal it. You can voice record it. You can even do it as a walk. But this isn't just a recap. It's a realignment. Because progress is not measured by goals checked off. It's measured by how often you return to who you said you'd be. This ritual is your compass. If you want to stay at this level, you can't walk with people who make you doubt it. So from now on, curate your environment with surgical precision. You don't need 100 people. You need 3 to 5 people who live this, breathe this, hold themselves to the same energetic standard you do. This could be a text accountability group, a private Discord or mastermind, a weekly voice memo check-in, or a friend you walk with every Friday morning. You don't need to be perfect. You just need people who won't let you forget who you are. And if you don't have this yet, create it. Post online. Invite people. Start small. Start now. Because your circle is your mirror. And every day you walk with aligned energy, you go further than a month alone in confusion. If this entire journey has spoken to you, start your power circle now. Send this to 2 people and say, "This is the new level I'm holding. Want to build it with me?" That alone could change everything. The final layer is automation, because willpower is fragile, but systems are forever. So here's how to create a self-reinforcing identity system. Pick one triggered moment in your day. Waking up, brushing teeth, making coffee, opening laptop, and stack a micro-identity activation on top. Example, coffee brewing, read your identity statement out loud. Laptop opens, play your theme song for 20 seconds. Lock screen on phone says, "Act as the architect." These seem small, but when you repeat them daily, they become anchors. Your brain begins to associate that action with your highest self. That's how you stop remembering to be great and start being great on autopilot. Stack enough of these, and your entire day becomes a runway for your future self to land. Let's address the voice in your head, the one that says, "But I've tried before. But I always fall off. But what if I can't sustain this?" Here's why this time is different. Because this time, you didn't just add habits. You reprogrammed your identity. You didn't just try harder. You designed your environment. You didn't wait for permission. You took ownership, and you created momentum that's not rooted in hype, but in alignment. That's not temporary. That's inevitable. So if you take nothing else from this journey, take this. You don't need to chase energy. You are energy. You don't need to force discipline. You are simply returning home to the person you were before the world told you to shrink. Your power is not loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet. It's consistent. It's unshakable. And now, it's permanent. The final statement. This is not the end of a video. This is the beginning of the next chapter of your life. You don't need motivation. You need memory. Remember who you said you are. Remember why you chose this. Remember what you're building. And every morning, before the world wakes up, before the noise returns, you will wake up and do this one thing. Return to yourself, declare your identity, and move through the world like your future already exists. Because now, it does. Call to action. Music swells with triumphant calm. If this journey spoke to you, share it with your power circle. Save it, bookmark it, live it, and comment below. This is who I am now. Not for views, not for validation, but for the soul-level declaration that changes everything. Because the old you was waiting. This version moves. I'll see you out there.